What's happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. So we got another huge update. You guys can probably already tell it is going down. Just by that title alone, guys, definitely gonna want to see this one. As we got that Fox Who's the 5 host, Jessica Tarlov, back at it again, folks. She's absolutely losing it. That Trump derangement syndrome of hers is only growing stronger. Seems like the closer Donald Trump gets to walking into that White House, it looks like her job is hanging on by a thread in this newest update, guys. I'm excited to get into it, so now I'm straight into it. So make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Before we even get into it, you guys, hit that like button, also hit that subscribe button for your boy. And without further ado, let's get straight into it, folks. Check this one out.
All of you. First of all, my thoughts and my condolences to the people in California. It's the first time I've spoken about this. They've suffered unimaginable loss, and our hearts go out to them. But, you know, I never realized that I lived in a third world country, that I lived in a country where this kind of thing would happen in the United States, and we wouldn't be able to at least fight back as well as we should have been able to fight back. And that's very, very disturbing. This was a predicted disaster, and there were a lot of problems that preceded this. This is about feckless leadership, and I've never been more convinced that Gavin Newsom is nothing more than an empty suit. Just hearing what he said a few seconds ago, you know, that the empty reservoir, well, that wasn't a part of the state system. He certainly is not someone who can accept responsibility. He's looking to place blame on everybody else. He's looking to criticize Donald Trump. You want Donald Trump there? Well, you know, maybe Joe Biden and Kamala should be there, seeing that he's the president and she's the vice president. And the forestry management, I'm sure it's been said here before, has been mismanaged for years in California. I've spoken to many people, friends, relatives in California. They're devastated. They can't believe that this would happen. And in the end, what you have is Donald Trump in 2019 trying to get water from Northern California to Southern California, and the environmentalists and people worried about the smelts and all that other stuff prevented that from happening. So right now, I think the most important thing that we can do is provide the mutual assistance, which, as I understand it, Dana, I'm reading that they're having trouble even coordinating with the people in California, and that, you know, this has to be incredibly disturbing to people who pay some of the highest taxes in the nation, to have empty fire hydrants, an empty reservoir, no water pressure. And, you know, it is just a disaster. And you know how to lose billions for the homeless and all kinds of money for illegals, but you can't manage the forestry, and you can't take something that's predictable. And the question now is whether Americans in other states should be paying the bill for their policy, which really ignored the fundamental prevention efforts.
Especially if that
Judge Jeanine she's not sparing any words, and that's why I love to refer to her, guys. And she's spot on where Gavin Newsom, just like, you know, his party, they love to try to blame shift, pass the buck on to someone else. And they've been trying to throw this on to Donald Trump somehow. And I'm just like Judge Jeanine trying to figure out who's currently sitting in that seat, who has been sitting in that seat as the commander-in-chief and the vice president. That's Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. But somehow Donald Trump continues to get blamed, where we've seen California, they're wasting over $1 billion, $2 billion on homeless and illegal immigrants. And it just doesn't make sense to me how Donald Trump gets blamed for this. This is clearly brainless leadership.
Ignored the fundamental prevention efforts,
especially if those policies aren't going to change.
Right.
Jessica, let's get your take today.
Well, echoing the judge's sentiments, not only happy to have you back here at work, but for everyone out in California. My sister, they left for a couple days. They're now back in their home, and hopefully can stay there.
Is it just me? Is her voice is a little scratchier today, guys? It's getting in my, it's doing something. I think I'm starting to hear what you guys are saying.
And hopefully can stay there. I'm close to despondent over the tenor of the political discourse concerning something this egregious. I hate that it has turned to politics, that it has been politicized this way. I hate that Governor Newsom had to create a new landing page on his site to put out the real facts about what the budgets have looked like, doubling the size of the air fleet, forest management budget increase.
Oh, come on. Oh, now he's doing all these extra efforts. Beforehand, this was neglected. It was forgot about. This guy, now he's whipped into shift into shape. Jessica, don't start trying to blame shift just like that guy Gavin Newsom. Oh my. This is what grinds my gears oh so badly. We see the problem. We see, who's to blame. No one's pointing the finger, especially these folks on the left. They can't point at themselves or point at figures on the left and say it's your fault that this got this bad, that this is out of hand. I mean, it's clearly the leadership, but just because blaming something else, it doesn't make sense to me.
What the budgets have looked like, doubling the size of the air fleet, forest management budget increased 10 times. I understand it got a little wordy about the San Ynez Reservoir, but the truth is that reservoir was offline through February 2025, no matter what. This wasn't an unpreparedness thing. There was a tear in the cover that they had to repair. It's a normal maintenance thing. So yes, would it have been better if it had been filled? Sure, but that's not because of mismanagement. That's maintenance that has to happen.
But the maintenance didn't happen in time. I mean,
but it was always. But it's not behind schedule. Is the point? This isn't because they neglected it.
She's saying this isn't because of mismanagement. If you knew the season was coming around, why would you schedule it that far out?
But it was always. But it's not behind schedule. Is the point? This isn't because they neglected it.
There were also a number of. Make time is of the essence in this contract. If they don't have that reservoir, that involved the Palisades.
I totally understand.
And so it's like saying we're not going to have cops where we know there's going to be a crime.
Well, you don't know that there's going to be a crime. This fire was predicted 5 days out, not months out when it went offline.
We've been hearing about fires in California for years.
In positions of power, like the Orange County Fire Chief.
And Judge Jeanine is exactly correct. This is what I've been saying. They know exactly when fire season is. I'm not sure why they would believe that they would have that much time. All the way out until February, that doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. That was trouble waiting to happen.
In California for years.
In positions of power, like the Orange County Fire Chief, the LA County Fire Chief, the head of FEMA, even Elon Musk, who went to a briefing and heard from a fire command, who have all said that this wasn't about a lack of preparedness, that this was because it was unprecedented. If you have 100 miles per hour winds, so much so that the choppers can't fly for 27 hours, which was a crucial element of this, that it was too windy to be able to do it, then you can't stand there and blame them like this. I mean, these quotes are crazy, saying, firefighters have never seen these kinds of winds. The fires were, quote, unstoppable. Mother Nature owned us. And then you hear Speaker Johnson, who was just walking through the Capitol and it was being interviewed, talking about aid and disaster relief. And he said that he thinks it should be conditioned on California changing their ways. If Joe Biden.
All I'm hearing, guys, is excuses. I'm surprised. Why is Jessica still talking?
He thinks it should be conditioned on California changing their ways. If Joe Biden, who, by the way, has signed every major disaster declaration right away, given everyone the capacity aid that they are asking for, he even actually wanted to put more money into the FEMA budget, and the Republicans took it down several $1 billion. If he had said, you know what, Louisiana,
she cannot do this. She cannot keep getting away with this. I'm not sure how Fox News allows Jessica Tarlov to get up there and just sit up there and lie on folks time in and time out, saying that it was the Republicans' fault now. Oh my goodness. Give me a break.
Republicans took it down several $1 billion. If he had said, you know what, Louisiana, I'm not so into your politics. You should do things differently. Or Georgia, or any other conservative state, or Florida. I mean, he has been so bipartisan in this. It is not the moment to say that this is going to be attached to something conditional about you doing this the way that I think you should do.
Okay, let me get to Jesse, because the condition might be, hey.
Oh my goodness, guys. That's what I was thinking too. I'm like, they let Jessica talk for an awfully long time today, didn't they? I mean, she just went on and on and on. And this is because she's lying, trying to cover up a lie. Once you lie once, you got to continue to keep trying to lie to cover it up, She could have went on forever, I believe, with that one.
I think you should do.
Okay, let me get to Jesse, because the condition might be, hey, you have to allow the Forest Service to do the work and tell the environmentalists to pound sand while we do this. They're not saying you're not going to be allowed to have trans policies unless you, and we're not going to give you the money unless you do. It's not like conditioned for something that doesn't make sense. It's like if you're asking federal taxpayers to help continue, and all of us want to help. And we not only will we help federally through our taxpayer dollars, but we will help also through our donations. You would have to say, like, can we at least make sure that there's more than one road in and out so that people can get out if there's an emergency?
Yeah, and they were going to try to expand the road, but there was a very precious piece of lettuce that the environmentalists sued and then fined a utility for touching.
Is this about fake smelt gate again, too?
There's nothing fake about the smelt.
Not
I actually brought the lawsuit in last week. Maybe you already forgot, Jessica. And are you going to come on TV and say that California was well prepared and couldn't have done anything better? And this fire, no one could have put it out? Are you really going to tell people watching right now in California, the Democrats, the liberals, all the Hollywood stars that are livid at Bass and Newsom, that everything was perfect and they got this thing right? Jessica, this is such a disaster.
Will probably be recalled, but I am going to come on and read what the head of FEMA had to say, or the LA County fire chief.
Okay.
You know better than them?
I know better than to listen to you talk about facts because I have them. And here is the budget, Jessica.
Oh my goodness. I don't like to pause in between these, but I'm just saying Jesse Waters is not messing around today. Straight out the gates, he's shoot out of a missile coming right at Jessica Tarlov, telling her, hey, I'm not going to sit here and let you tell me about, the fact of the matter because I've got the facts all right here and we know what you're pushing.
FEMA had to say, or the LA County fire chief.
Okay.
You know better than them?
I know better than to listen to you talk about facts because I have them. And here is the budget, Jessica. California state budget, Department of Forestry, fire protection. $3.3 billion last year. This year was $2.8. Look at the LA budget. Last year,
is this the 17 million?
Last year, $837 million, then $819. I'm not very good at math, but I know that's a cut.
No.
Let me tell you something else. In the 1700s, Jessica, California averaged millions and millions of lost acreage due to wildfires. Then the Americans came in, brought a little civilization, and by the end of the last century, they only lost 250,000 acres to wildfires per year. And then the environmentalists and the wackos took over. And they're back to losing millions of acres in California. These people have literally taken California back centuries, Jessica, with these stupid policies. And the thing about liberalism is that they say if you give the liberals all the power and all the money, they will create a utopia. They will create heaven on earth. Well, we've given the Democrats all the power in California. And look at it. It looks like hell. They think they can control the Earth's temperature. They can't even put out a fire in their own backyard. Look at these fact checks this guy's doing. Now, I don't care if he goes on a podcast, but look what he's saying. The fire started from a satanic ritual. They had to fact check that.
I mean, come on, y'all. And that type of stuff right there, it just shows you, we are getting put back, or they're getting put back centuries. They had a method. They had something that was working, that was reducing the amount of acreage lost to wildfires a year in California, because this is a known problem that's been going on since the beginning of the time. Then we let these woke nut jobs come in and say we're going to fight the fire with positivity, and now look at where we're at. It's crazy.
Started from a satanic ritual.
And that's just nuts.
Fact check that. Why is he wasting time doing this? This is craziness, Jessica. You can't defend this guy.
Let's see what Greg has to say. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, and you? I love your jacket.
Why, thank you. I know you're lying.
No, I like it.
When you say somebody is politicizing something, that is the new disinformation.
Yes.
It's to discount whatever you say. First of all, it's not like Trump is like the only voice. Everyone is pissed off. Democrats are pissed off. It's not just Trump. What does this feel like to you? To me, it feels like when they sent the migrants to New York City or Martha's Vineyard. This is the doorstop effect, but it's not about the citizens, it's about the leadership. Suddenly, you realize that the progressive politicians you voted for do not address the disasters. Instead, they enable it. This is what we learned with sanctuary cities. If you're chasing metrics based on virtue signaling, you end up taking your eye off the ball. That's why New York, San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, and Los Angeles are all disaster zones in different ways. You could have had reservoirs filled. You could have had underground power lines. That was there for a while. Brush removal, more firemen. I would have loved to have more millions in the fire department. But no, you spent billions on homeless. You spent billions on illegals because that was the virtue signal. Newsom's argument that this is being politicized by Trump is a sham because Trump had said all these things before this happened. He is a builder. So was Rick Caruso, a builder. This is what they talked about. They didn't see Democrats. They saw incompetence. Why else would Trump point it out? He's not interested in helping Democrats. He just wants the thing fixed. That's how he is. Clear the brush, cut down the trees. A similar fire like this took place 8 years ago, and they learned nothing. They focused on the virtue signaling instead. Billions in aid for things that make you feel good but do nothing. That left California vulnerable. If there's one thing you got to teach kids before they turn into Democrats, it's a basic economic term called opportunity cost. If you shunt billions towards effort A, effort B doesn't get it, especially in a finite pie. You can't always rely on the rich to keep enlarging the pie. The real blind spot for Democrats with DEI, it's not that the fire chief isn't qualified. It's that the fire chief has to make that metric a priority, splitting your attention, taking your attention away from public safety to public virtue. The fire chief could actually hate DEI, but the demand is an institutional directive. The directive doesn't create profits in a company or results in a public company, which is fine if you're Coke or you're Pepsi. If you got billions of dollars, of course, DEI could be a little hobby. It's a PR hobby. You throw the money out there, you get good PR. Bud thought it was doing that. However, and I blame the companies, billion dollar companies for this, you embrace DEI because you could afford to. They couldn't. A lot of companies, smaller companies and public entities, they don't sell Coke. They save lives. So it wasn't a hobby for them. It ended up being a death sentence.
Yo, there we have it, guys. Greg Gutfeld coming out with a great point there at the end. California's focus and investment solely into virtue signaling is what left them wide open. They were vulnerable to these types of natural disasters. We already knew that this could potentially happen. We know the season for it, but these folks are focusing on appealing, making themselves look good in the woke culture's eyes. You know, $1 billion, $2 billion invested into homeless and illegal immigrants. You know, it does not make sense to me why they don't believe it's their fault. You know, they are directly to blame for this. I'm not seeing why they could be able to blame Donald Trump when he's simply on the sidelines. He doesn't have, a dog in the fight. He can't really do anything as far as leadership right now. Until January 20th, he doesn't have a say so, but he's just on the sidelines like a heckler, a fan, calling it out like, hey, you guys are wrong here. This guy is to blame. You know, Gavin Newsom, the terrible leadership. It just does not make sense to me. Jessica Tarlov gets up there and she's high up on Biden saying that he did everything he possibly could, but then it was the Republicans that slammed down on it. They will never look in the mirror, do a little bit of self-reflecting, and just say that, hey, we are to blame. We need to work on ourselves, move forward past this, and stop focusing on things that won't make a difference. Times like this, we see folks are losing out on their livelihood. They're losing out on, their families. It's so much going on. Folks are losing everything. My heart goes out to everyone affected by those fires over in California. It is absolutely terrible to see what's going on, how long they've allowed this to go on. I definitely believe leadership is to blame, guys, but definitely hop in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. Also, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy more content like this, catch you guys on the next one. We got